Hello everybody, my name is Ron.
And my name is Bill. And we're here tonight to give you a fireside chat tonight. So just pretend that you just had a big turkey dinner. The turkey tryptophan is going through your veins.
And you're getting tired.
You're tired. Your uncles have come out to the living room. You're sitting down below, and cross-legged, and you're listening to us.
Now there's a crackling fire going behind us. As you can see, it's snowing like crazy outside.
Snowing.
Now, between Bill and I, we've got about 125 years of life experience.
This we want to share with you. We want to reminisce with you. Some of this, the things you're going to see are going to bring back all kinds of memories, whether they be painful,
Yep.
they be happy.
And a lot of happiness, some pain, but that's life. And we're real excited about what we're going to show you tonight. We had a real great time putting this together. So without any further
We
ado,
want to share it with you.
we'd like to roll the first clip of our show for you tonight. Go ahead and roll it.
We were born just 9 years after Hitler was defeated. The Korean War had just entered a ceasefire. Joe McCarthy was ranting and raving about communists infiltrating our nation at the highest ranks. Eisenhower was the president. The 60s was a decade of incredible cultural change. It was the time the baby boomers were coming of age. They were starting to express their very new and unique styles and points of views. Music, politics, drug experimentation, clothing, and personal grooming were all very threatening to many of the parents of this generation. Add to all of this the Vietnam War and there was a recipe for chaos.
Boy, that was a lot of information in just a little short clip there.
Just a little slice of our life.
Now, what was amazing in that clip is, as you saw, is that Bill and I arrived on this planet just a mere 9 years after Hitler was defeated.
Hitler was running around the planet 9 years before we were born.
And then all that stuff started taking place, like
Yeah.
Eisenhower was still president when we were born,
McCarthy was just finished up, maybe.
with that communist ranting that he went on.
Yeah.
And it was a crazy time. There was I have lots of memories of taking vacations, driving out to Southern California, visiting my cousins, and I remember when I was elementary school, putting my head down on the floor with all the other little kids practicing for a nuclear attack.
I remember the floor was real dirty when I got down there.
We were always practicing for total annihilation.
Yep.
Because that was on everybody's mind. I remember driving out to Sunset Boulevard with all my cousins and my aunt, everything, looking at the hippies that were gathering in Hollywood in California.
Instead of an eco tour, it was a hippie tour.
So that was kind of the things I remember as a child, just a few of the things that I remember doing. But I remember doing a lot that you're going to see in this show. So some of the things that really shaped society in the 60s were the major news events that happened around the world.
Yes, we need to roll that clip.
So we have a clip now that's going to show you some of the major news events, not all of them, but some of the major news events.
Just major ones.
So go ahead and let's roll that clip right now.
News headlines of the 1960s. On January 20th, 1961, John F. Kennedy said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." In 1961, the Bay of Pigs invasion of Cuba is foiled by Cuban forces. On August 13th, 1961, the construction of the Berlin Wall begins. On February 7th, 1962, the first sign of a Vietnam conflict emerges. On April 21st, 1962, the Seattle World's Fair opens. In 1962, John Glenn became the first American to orbit the Earth. On October 14th, 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis begins. On August 28, 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. gave the powerful speech now commonly known as, "I Have a Dream." On November 22, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas by assassin Lee Harvey Oswald. 2 days later, Oswald was himself killed on live national television by Jack Ruby while being transported in police custody. In 1964, all-time great boxer Cassius Clay changes his name to Muhammad Ali. 1964 witnessed the debut of the Ford Mustang. In 1964, the Civil Rights Act was signed into law. On February 4, 1964, the Beatles captivated the nation on The Ed Sullivan Show. On January 11, 1964, the Surgeon General reported that smoking causes lung cancer in men. Peter Sellers played the character Dr. Strangelove in the 1964 classic film by the same name. July 2, 1964, legislation in the U.S. Congress on civil rights is passed. It bans discrimination in jobs, voting and accommodations. On August 11, 1965, the Watts Race riots in Los Angeles begin a 5-day siege, culminating in the death of 34 people and property destruction in excess of $200 million. On October 15, 1965, the first public burning of a draft card occurs in protest to the Vietnam War. On July 1, 1966, Medicare, the government medical program for citizens over the age of 65, begins. In July 1967, black riots plague U.S. cities. In Newark, New Jersey, 26 are killed, 1,500 injured and 1,000 arrested from July 12 to the 17th. 1 week later, July 23 to the 30th, 40 are killed, 2,000 injured, and 5,000 left homeless after rioting in Detroit, known as the 12th Street Riots, decimate the black ghetto. The riots are eventually stopped by over 12,500 federal troopers and National Guardsmen. April 4, 1968, civil rights leader Martin Luther King is assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee while standing on a motel balcony by James Earl Ray. In April of 1969, U.S. troops in the war reached its peak at 543,400. On June 5, 1968, presidential candidate, the Democratic senator from New York, Robert F. Kennedy, is shot at a campaign victory celebration in Los Angeles. On July 20, 1969, Neil Armstrong became the first human to walk on the moon. On August 15th through the 18th, 1969, the music festival known as Woodstock was held on a dairy farm in the Catskill Mountains, northwest of New York City. It attracted an audience of more than 400,000. On November 21, 1969, the Internet, called ARPANET during its initial development, is invented by the Advanced Research Projects Agency at the U.S. Department of Defense.
Those were some crazy news stories that went on when we were just growing up.
And that's just a few of them.
Yeah, the ones that stuck out to me would be the assassinations.
Yep.
You imagine your president being assassinated. Martin Luther King, imagine a preacher man getting assassinated.
A man of peace.
Imagine Bobby Kennedy being shot.
Yep.
And then watching the killer, or the supposed killer of John Kennedy, being shot live on TV.
Oh, yeah, that was live on TV.
That's just normal stuff for us.
Yeah, that's the earliest memory. What's the earliest memory you have of the 60s news event?
It would have been the presidential assassination.
Yeah, where were you when that happened?
I was in school.
Yeah, me too. They rolled the TV out, and we were all sitting in the classroom, and we watched Walter Cronkite announce on TV that the president had just died.
We have that clip.
We have that clip, by the way,
Yeah,
and
let's show it
we
to
want to roll that clip for you
Yeah.
right now. Go ahead,
Okay.
let's roll it.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, some 38 minutes ago.
Boy, that was quite a clip.
That was sad.
That's an actual footage of Walter Cronkite announcing
He was
that.
beside himself.
Now,
Yeah.
everybody was crying, and I remember that.
I remember the racial tensions, the riots that were going on. I mean, it was scary.
It was scary.
And I lived in Seattle. There weren't any black people around where I lived, hardly any. We had 2 blacks in our school.
And I took it wherever I lived. I lived down south in Mississippi, and in 1965, we traveled around a lot because my dad worked for the space program,
Jim Crow is still alive.
and it was bad down there.
Yeah.
And when I went to school down there, it was an all-white school, of course, then, and I was asked by the big kids down there where I was from, and I said California, and they yelled Yankee at me, and they started chasing me and punching me because
he's a Yankee.
they thought I was a Yankee
California,
from
of all
California.
places.
Apparently, the Civil War was still being fought down there 100 years after it ended.
100 years later.
So that was kind of a scary place to live. And then we moved some other places first, but then we ended up in California back in 1967, and I went to junior high school there. I think it was the 9th grade, and racial tensions were very, very high then. That was the year before Martin Luther King got killed. And I got punched and chased because
You were called a honky.
I was white.
Yeah.
So that was a rough
Yeah.
time to grow up in. And
You couldn't win wherever you moved.
But it was also
Oh,
a fun time to grow up in.
but didn't you have a riot at the high school?
We had a riot at our high school.
high school
In
in
1969, where they had to
Yeah.
call in the riot police, and
Yeah.
it got really rough. They were lined up on both sides of the streets, and it was covered by the news media. It was rough. It was a wild time.
Now, some good stuff would be the space program, the landing on the moon, if that really happened.
Yeah, and I got to witness the
Yeah.
launching of the Saturn V rocket with the Apollo and all that.
So
So
your dad worked for the NASA.
he worked for the
Yeah.
space agency, and we got to see all that, which was good. So
Yeah.
so not only
It was-
did we witness all those negative and tumultuous events that happened in
We
the
didn't
60s.
even mention the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah, and but that was on the clip that you saw,
Oh,
the
that's
Cuban
true.
Missile Crisis. So
That's true.
that's stuff that we grew up with. And I didn't mention the time we had to get down in the hallway and practice for a nuclear attack by covering our heads up.
I remember how dirty it was on the floor.
Yeah, so those are just a few
Yeah.
things that we remember. Now, not only do I remember all these news events that kind of were bad and some were good, but a lot of bad things, there was a lot of fun we had in the 60s.
We had fun.
We went
We
out,
did.
we played
We knew how to
constantly.
party.
We were outside a lot. I know I was
Yeah.
outside a lot.
I wasn't, because I was in the Northwest.
I rode my bike everywhere, and we had toys.
Yep.
My mom and dad made sure I had lots of toys, which I was very fortunate. So
Go ahead and show them those toys.
we would like to roll a video now and show you
Yeah.
some of the most influential toys of the 60s.
Not all of them.
Not all, just a few.
few.
The most influential ones. So go ahead and roll that clip. Boy, that was just a few of the toys that were the most influential toys of the 60s. Now, obviously, I don't think either Bill or I played with the Barbie doll.
No.
But we
Or
did,
the G.I. Joe doll.
or the G.I.
somebody.
Joe doll. I don't think I had any G.I. Joe dolls, but we played with some of the other ones, the Frisbees.
There's one that
the
we both played
Slinkies.
with, was that bowler guy.
Yeah, there was
guy at the bowl.
a toy called the Eldon Bowling Alley. It was a little bowling alley about 3 feet long,
Yep.
and it had a crank on the end where you would crank it.
That would actually put the
And it would
pins down.
put the pins on there and lift
Yeah.
them up, and then he'd put the ball in the little guy's arm and pull a little pin thing back, and he would fling the ball down the alley.
That kept us busy for hours.
I spent hours playing that.
Hours.
There was, of course, electric football game
I played a lot
where
of
they'd
that.
vibrate all over the
Yeah, they
field.
did all the field. I like the Lincoln Logs
Oh,
and the
yeah.
little toy soldiers, and I combined it all together and made a war out of it.
I spent
So,
hours playing Lincoln Logs, and then when I was
Yeah.
really small, probably back around 1960 or so, I had those metal pedal cars
Yeah.
that you'd take outside, those little cars that you'd get in
Yeah.
and you'd pedal all over
We
the
might be able
place,
to show a picture of that.
which would be worth
Yeah.
probably
Oh, hundreds.
hundreds and hundreds of dollars
Yeah.
now if you could find them in mint condition.
Yeah.
So there was, and you had a toy you liked to play in the Northwest, that Skittle Bowl thing.
Skittle Ball, and it was a great game, and I'm surprised not more people play it.
There's just tons of toys that we played with.
Oh, Tonka toys, remember Tonka
Tonka
toys?
trucks.
Yeah,
I
Tonka trucks.
I remember pushing those on the sidewalk
Oh, yeah.
outside all the time.
Yeah, I had a lot of matchbook cars, little
Yeah.
tiny cars.
And
Oh.
something that we hadn't even mentioned. yeah.
Hot Wheels, too.
Hot Wheels,
Yeah.
yeah, but that was later,
I mean, it goes on and on.
Yeah.
It goes on and on.
which people still collect those, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
So the toys were a big part of our life, a big part of growing up. Maybe one reason why we didn't spend a lot of time in front of the TV watching news,
But we did.
but we did. But anyway, another important
Oh,
aspect of our
huge.
life in the 60s, and I know it was
Yeah.
with me tremendously, started when I was very young, was music. Music played a big role in my life, and so we put together a clip of some of the most influential music. It's
Yeah.
not all of it by any means.
No, just a little tiny slice.
But we'd like to go ahead and roll that
Yeah.
clip for you now and just give you a little taste of some of the most influential music. So go ahead, let's roll that clip.
Let's go see it.
Boy, that was just a little taste of the music from the 1960s. There
Just a slice, just a tiny slice.
there was a lot more, of course, a lot more music. There,
Very creative time.
one thing about the 60s, and I think anybody that's watching this that lived through the 60s will know that the music created a lot of chaos in the 60s, especially with
With their
the parents, the older generation.
Yeah.
The reason I think is because the baby boomers were coming along in the 60s and they were being swept up in the music revolution, and they just went wild over the
And it
music.
scared the parents something fierce.
It scared them. The parents didn't know how to handle it, and so
Yeah.
the parents kind of revolted against the music. Anything the kids listened to and were liked, the parents didn't like automatically.
We also spent a lot of time watching TV.
Oh,
Tons of time. It was kind of a new invention for us.
I don't know how we had time to do anything else, but
No.
apparently we really knew how to divide our days up well, because I know I had to be to bed by a certain hour.
Yeah.
But TV was big.
We got it all in. I remember on game day, New Year's Day,
Yeah.
my eyes would actually be sore
But
at
to
the
give
end of the day.
But to give you an idea,
Watching football.
we put together a little clip here
Oh, yeah.
of some of the most influential
Yes.
TV shows of the
Yes.
60s. So
Sitcoms.
we're going to go ahead and roll, not sitcoms, these are
Oh.
TV shows in general. It kind of spans the whole gamut a little bit.
Sitcoms, westerns,
Yeah,
you name it.
whatever. So this is
Yeah.
kind of a list of some TV
Yeah.
shows that are considered the most influential that we put
Yeah.
together. So go ahead, let's roll this clip right now.
Live from Philadelphia, it's time for America's favorite.
Who's the leader of the front that stands for liberty? MIT.
Leave it to Beaver.
The Ed Sullivan Show.
Keep moving, moving.
Hello, I'm Mr. Ed.
Space, the final frontier.
Come and listen to my story about a man named Jed. A poor mountaineer barely kept his family fed.
The end of the Civil War was near when quite accidentally just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip.
And now, from the ridiculous to the sublime, we take you to the beautiful downtown.
Boy, the way Glenn Miller played.
Songs that made the hit.
That clip really brought back memories for me. Ron, what was your favorite show?
My favorite
in the
TV
60s?
show? Oh, that's hard to tell.
It's really tough to make a decision on.
There were so many of them. I mean, I started off by watching shows like Leave It to Beaver.
Leave It to Beaver was big.
Leave It to Beaver, Father Knows Best, Dobie Gillis.
F Troop.
Mr. Red made me laugh like crazy, especially when he tried out for the Dodgers.
Yeah, that was great.
I mean,
Yeah.
the Munsters, F Troop, Gilligan's Island, you name them, all the Outer Limits.
What was that one, the prison camp? Who had thought of making a comedy about a prison?
Hogan's Hero.
Hogan's Heroes.
Yeah, crazy shows. And then there were
Yeah.
some more dramatic ones. And plus, I sat down all the time,
Mm.
a lot of times with my father, and watched all the old westerns.
I remember watching Bonanza and
Yeah.
then watching Walt Disney.
Yeah, The Wonderful World of Color.
World of Color, loved
Walt
it.
Disney, and then Lassie, of course, which
Yeah.
we already showed you.
Yeah.
And then all the science fiction movies. about the end of the world, like the giant ants
those are
that
great.
invaded the sewers of Los Angeles.
Yeah, they ran a lot of reruns of movies from the 50s.
Yeah, so, I mean, we were saturated with media. That's
Yeah.
like when media was blitzing everything.
Oh, TV was new.
People had never seen it before, and it was like, it was
Yeah.
just, that's
We couldn't
part-
get enough of it.
It probably explains like why we're like we are.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Oh, we watched a lot of cartoons, too.
cartoons were big.
When you get up in the morning, Saturday mornings was a big cartoon day for us.
We started as small children
Yeah.
back in 1960, and so cartoons
Yeah.
were like, cartoons were probably, came first before TV shows, actually.
Yeah, so let's show the clip of the cartoon.
So we've got a clip to show you
Yeah.
of some of the most influential cartoons of the 60s.
Tiny slice.
This is
again.
just a tiny slice.
Yeah.
So go ahead, let's roll that clip of cartoons of the 60s.
Olive oil, you has been me girlfriend for a long, long time. And now, on me bended knee, I proposes marriage and also wants you to be me wife.
And now,
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
again,
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! No doubt about it. I gotta get another hat.
now here's something we hope you'll really like.
Boy, get this gentleman's bag. Oh, no friend of mine is staying at a hotel. You're coming home with me. Taxi! Taxi! Cab! Here ya! Yeah, right away. No arguments. We'll be just in time for a long, long time.
Yogi Bear is smarter than the average bear. Yogi Bear is always in the ranger's hair. At a picnic table you will find him there. Stuffing dumb or goodies and the average bear. Flintstones, meet the Flintstones. They're the modern Stone Age family. From the town of Bedrock, they're a page right out of history.
Howdy. I guess you didn't know. I run the elevator around here, too. Here comes my first two customers, Pixie and Dixie.
Up, quick! Jinx is after us.
Going up.
Come back, you miserable Mises! All is okay, you know, 'cause what Mises go up must come down.
Top Cat, the most effectual Top Cat, whose intellectual close friends get to call him TC, providing it with dignity. Top Cat, the indisputable leader of the gang. He's the boss, he's a bit, he's the championship, he's the most tip-top Top Cat. Yes, he's the chief, he's the king.
Well, Pokey, this is the road to the gold country. All those towns used to be gold mining camps. Dead Rock, Dry Wells, Mount Bullion.
Yeah, but we're passing right through the pesky Indian reservation.
Don't worry, they're friendly. You're not afraid, are you, Nopey?
Boy, that was quite a collection of cartoons there.
A lot of memories for us as kids.
But the thing is, there were so many more cartoons than that, it's just impossible to list them.
Yeah, my favorite was probably Rocky and Bullwinkle, I'd have to say.
Rocky and Bullwinkle.
It actually had some intelligence behind it.
Yeah, that was fun to watch. But there was many more. There was Bugs Bunny. There was Porky Pig.
Yosemite Sam.
Yosemite Sam.
Yeah.
All these Warner Brother cartoons that came on. There was just so many cartoons that there was any time of day.
We had to catch up from the 50s, because the 50s, the cartoons would be shown in the movie theater at the beginning.
Any time of the day, if you were a kid, you could sit down and watch TV. There were cartoon shows at noon.
Yeah.
Anytime there was these characters that came on.
When you came back from school, they were on.
They were on, so cartoons were a real big part of our life. And so,
Did you ever call in sick so you could watch TV?
I pretended like I was sick all the time when I was young. I didn't like school all that much. But I probably joined. A lot of kids are probably like that. But I remember sitting home watching. But if I stayed home sick, my mom wouldn't let me watch TV.
So you think we're watching TV so much? Did we have time to go see movies in the theaters?
Well, I did. We went to see a few.
Yeah, we did.
But we put together a clip here of the movies of the 60s. Now, this is a total list, basically, of all the major movies of the 1960s, which includes the Academy Award winners and everything, which movies won the Academy Awards and everything. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and roll that clip now, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy this. This is a complete list of all the major movies. So go ahead, roll the clip.
I know I have some fond memories of going to a movie when I was young, 60s. I remember going to see a movie called Dr. Chicago, and I thought, wow, they made a movie about Chicago. Turns out it was Dr. Chivago.
Yeah, that was quite a list of movies we just saw on that video there, too. That was a complete list, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to mention that.
Do you remember?
And I'm sure
what was your favorite movie?
Dr. Chicago was in that list.
Oh, yeah.
Now, some of my favorite movies of the 60s, well, there was A Hard Day's Night by the Beatles, because I was such a Beatle fan.
Even at that young age?
Yeah, I went to see A Hard Day's Night. Then I also went to see Help by the Beatles. I remember I was in Mississippi when that came out. I remember riding in the back of a pickup truck all the way to Gulfport, Mississippi, and seeing Help by the Beatles.
That was good.
But I remember when I was real young, probably this might have been 1960 or so, being taken to see Bambi and Old Yellow.
That was sad.
And I was a very sad movie. Old Yellow was. I remember later in the decade seeing movies like Planet of the Apes. It was one of my favorite movies. That was a mind that screwed with your mind. Planet of the Apes did. So those were just a few of my favorite movies.
Science fiction like Soylent Green. Do you
Soylent Green with Charlton Heston.
Yeah.
Very good movie.
Very good.
Good sci-fi.
Yeah.
That was just and of course at the very end of the decade, I went to see Easy Rider, which was a revolutionary film with Dennis Hopper and Peter Fonda. That made parents very angry too. Easy Rider, but that was just a few of the movies I can remember seeing. I think I saw more. I'm pretty sure I did. Barbarella, of course.
It was kind of a cool time to go to a movie. The popcorn, the smells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was affordable.
Oh yeah, very affordable.
And the movie theaters were not in malls then.
Yeah.
They were actual movie theaters that on the streets you could go to.
Yeah, 25 cents or 30 cents or something like that. That was nuts.
So those days were different, of course, and I'm sure everybody realizes that. But we hope that you've enjoyed our show tonight.
You do.
We appreciate you tuning in and everything. And
we've got to get going because it's snowing outside.
as you can see behind us, the snow is even getting heavier outside.
We've got to drive home, so.
So we got to go ahead and make sure the fireplace is out here.
Yep, make sure the fire's out.
We got to lock up.
Yep.
And then we've got to go ahead and get out of here before the snow gets too deep. Now, you'll see how to subscribe to our YouTube channel on the screen. And make sure you do that.
You just can Google our name.
You can Google Hole in the Wall TV Everett.
That's all you have to Google.
So thank you for tuning in, and have a good night.
Thank you, everybody.
And goodbye, and thank you.
Good night now.
Good night.
November, Echo, Bravo, 3, Quebec, stand by. Sierra, November, Echo.